You know, guys, life is actually a really funny thing. Sometimes you'll record an entire video and then realize after you recorded it that your microphone was plugged into your headphone jack and it didn't record a word that you said. And then sometimes you'll wake up on a random Tuesday morning and it'll be new bike day and you will have not even known that it was going to be new bike day. And that's exactly what just happened to me yesterday. So I picked up this bike behind me here. This is a Surly Grappler, and it is a really sweet bike. I had no idea that I was going to be getting a new bike yesterday. It just sort of happened. And let me tell you how it happened. So it was the night before, and I was on Facebook Marketplace right before I was about to go to bed, and this bike popped up, and I was like, oh, that's pretty cool, but I shouldn't be on my phone before bed. So I waited till the next morning so that I could get my full 8 hours of uninterrupted sleep, other than being interrupted by my dog every 5 minutes. But I ended up the next morning getting on Facebook Marketplace and seeing that this bike was available. It was just posted and it was a screaming deal. I was like, if I don't buy this bike today, somebody else will absolutely buy this bike. And why not me? You know, why not me? So I've been sort of looking for an ATB style bike, something that's able to be ridden on like gravel trails and not so much a mountain bike. But something that I could also use for bike packing. And this bike is perfect for that for a few reasons. So we'll get into that in this video. I'm also going to tell you everything that the previous owner did to this bike to make it the awesome bike it is, because he really did an amazing job. And that really kind of led to me feeling like buying this bike was the right move. So, yeah, we'll just kind of maybe go for a test ride then as well at the end of this video. So, all right, so let's kind of talk about how this bike was born, what it looked like when it was first born. It was actually originally a drop bar mountain bike. So that's kind of what the Grappler is at the, at its core. So it's a bike that's fully rigid. It came drop bar. As you can see now, it's got these wacky wavy inflatable bars, these like curly bars that sort of go out and then sweep back, which I really like because I kind of found out with my last bike that I don't really like drop bar bikes. They're just not as fun in my opinion, and I feel like if a bike should be anything, it should be fun first beyond basically anything else, unless you're like racing or using it just to go fast, which I don't personally use my bikes for. This bike is made of chromoly steel. It's even got some gussets up here, up by the top tube where it connects to the head tube, which I think looks really cool and also adds a bit of stability there. As you can see, it has a non-suspension corrected fork, which gives it this really, really long head tube, which I think looks awesome. In addition to bikes being fun, I feel like they should also look really cool. And I feel like the whole reason I was sort of pulled into this like gravel bike, retro mountain bike field of interest is because of the way that the bikes look. I mean, these sort of like more squared off bikes sort of have this like vintage cool look to them that I just really like. And I feel like this bike accomplishes that while also being fun to ride, if that makes sense. And this bike, that's another thing that I noticed first thing with this bike. Since it is a size large, it is quite large. It's just a big bike. It's more like a mountain bike. And this bike is in Subterranean Homesick Blue, which is a Bob Dylan song, which just makes this bike 10 times more cool in my opinion. It's also a really fun color, which I like. I was always very jealous of my wife Katie's bike being a fun purple color. Now I have a fun blue color, and I just feel like having a fun colored bike just adds to the fun of the overall bike. All right, so there are a few things that I think he did an absolutely amazing job choosing for this bike. One of the upgrades was the crankset and bottom bracket. A lot of times these bikes, when they're from the factory, they kind of put lower end cranks and bottom brackets on there, so he upgraded those. I really also love what he did with the brakes. A lot of times they also spec these types of bikes with really low end brakes, and he actually told me that the Tektros that came on this bike were borderline hazards. So he upgraded to probably the coolest brakes that he could have upgraded to. He upgraded to the Grotech Equal brakes, which are some brakes that I've been wanting to try out for a really long time, and they're in this nice purple color. So they're just absolutely sick. They're quite expensive brakes too if you look them up. So I feel like that really added to the whole value proposition that I got with this bike, and was one of the main sort of selling points to sort of push me towards buying this bike. So as you'll notice, this bike also has a dropper post, which I'm really excited about because that was something that I was potentially going to get for my State 4130. And I feel like it fits this style of bike a lot better. Some other things that he did, there's these Ritchie wavy bars. I'm not sure the name of these. I didn't spend a whole lot of time looking things up before this video. This is sort of my first look. And to be honest, I've sort of kind of told myself not to look at the bike until I got a chance to talk to you guys about it, because I feel like that way I can sort of share the excitement a little bit more. So there's some like wacky wavy inflatable Ritchie bars. They sort of have this angle where they pitch forward first and then swoop back to sort of keep the reach long, but then also give you that back sweep. I feel like the reach on this bike is stupid long already, so I would actually kind of like if they came back a little bit farther. And then we got a 35mm stem up here as well. So it's quite short, but I do have plenty of stems and bars that I do want to try on this bike. I think that's going to be one of the big upgrades that I try to do first. And then this ergon saddle, I'm really curious to try this out because my homie, his favorite saddle is an ergon saddle. So I definitely want a saddle that is healthy and comfortable. That's sort of my biggest concern with the saddle. So yeah, maybe we'll try this for a while. And yeah, the tires are cool. I feel like if I was going to change those, I would change to something a little bit more fast rolling. But I really do like them. I feel like they're pretty solid tires. Another thing worth mentioning is this bike is set up tubeless. So in addition to all those things, this also has a really unique dropout setup in the back here. So it's horizontal sliding dropouts with this thing called knot boost spacing. So it allows you to run a 142mm rear hub and also a 148 spaced rear hub as well. So you can kind of mix and match different wheel setups. So if you have a wheel setup from an old bike that you want to put on this, it sort of makes it a bit future-proof in that way and a little bit easy to tinker with it. And as you'll notice, since it's the horizontal drops, you could also set this bike up with an internally geared hub or single speed, which single speed is kind of something that I would really like to try on this bike. But right now he's got a Shimano drivetrain on this, and he's got it set up with the original 10-speed microshift cassette that came on this. So there's quite a bit of tinkering that we could do with the drivetrain as well. But I'm probably gonna leave it. It seems like pretty foolproof and it's just gonna work. I'm not super picky about drivetrains, to be honest, as long as they just shift. They don't have to be the fastest in the world. They don't have to be the lightest in the world. They just have to work. This thing is totally ready to go bike packing. It's got more mounts than you could ever need. It's got the 3-pack here. It's got 4 braze-ons down here on the fork on both sides. It's got mounts for racks, fenders, basically just like braze-ons out the yin-yang. Was that enough talking? I don't know. All right, so I think I've rambled for long enough. Hopefully you guys have enjoyed kind of listening to my thought process behind picking up this bike. Now I say we take it for a test ride. All right, so my first thoughts is that I feel like I'm on a really, really big bike, almost like a penny farthing or something, compared to my gravel bike. So it's interesting, I feel really high up, and I definitely feel more like I'm riding a mountain bike. If you haven't done this already, be sure to subscribe to the channel and like the video. We're getting really close to 9,000, which means we're getting really close to 10,000. It's the best way that you can support our channel, and we really appreciate it. So thank you for subscribing. This bike is a million times more fun than a gravel bike. Oh my god. All right, guys, so we are out on a little test ride right now with the Surly Grappler, and I basically have three main thoughts that I want to share with you guys after this first little shakedown ride. So the first thing is that this bike is not content just riding on gravel. I can't wait to take this on some actual mountain bike trails, some more off-road trails. I think it's going to be really fun when the terrain gets a little bit more rough. So another note that's kind of tied to that is that I really like not having to worry about the toe overlap with the front wheel. That's something I always had to worry about with my gravel bike, and it's really nice not having to worry about that at all, and I was kind of able to put that out of my mind really quick. I actually started sort of a bad habit with overthinking that when I even go mountain biking on my mountain bike that doesn't even have anything close to toe overlap. So I'm glad that I don't have to worry about that. And then the third and final thing, which was pretty obvious when I was kind of looking at the bike before I even took it for a test ride, is that the reach is extremely long for me. I like a shorter reach usually. I always have gone for the shortest stem. I always like riser bars, so it would be cool to maybe put a different cockpit on this bike in the future. But let me know what you guys think. Let me know what I should do with this bike. Let me know where I should take this bike. Thank you so much for watching. We'll catch you in the next one. Peace.